Hello students, welcome to the online session of Database Management System. In today's session, we are going to study about PL/SQL control structures and PL/SQL subprograms, that is procedure and function. In last session, we have studied PL/SQL conditional control structures, that is if statement and case statement. In today's session, we are going to study about PL/SQL iterative control structures, that is for loop and while loop. Learning objectives of today's session are: after learning this session, students will be able to describe PL/SQL iterative control structures, and students will be able to write PL/SQL procedures and functions. So first we will start with the iterative control statement. So loop statement is the basic iterative control statement in PL/SQL. The syntax of loop statement is: first we give label, that is the name of that statement, and then we use keyword loop. Then inside the body of loop statement we write the executable statement, and then end loop statement will be there. So this is the simple syntax of loop statement. Here we just execute number of executable statements. Now we'll see example of loop statement. Here first we have declared two variable v1 number which is initialized to 0, and v2 variable is there which is also of number type. Okay, now in executable section, that is in begin section, we are reading the value of v2 by using colon statement. Okay, and then our loop is started now. So here in loop we are first incrementing the value of v1, that is v1 equals to v1 plus 1. We are incrementing value by 1, and then we are printing the value of v1 by using dbms output dot putline statement. Now here we already know that dbms output is a built-in package in Oracle, and putline is a method which is stored in dbms output package, and it is used to display user-defined message, or it is used to display the values of variable on a screen. And then we have used keyword exit when. Okay, means we are executing this particular loop until v1 is greater than equal to v2. Okay, exit statement is used to exit from the loop. If you look at the syntax of loop statement, if you don't use exit statement, or if you don't specify any exit condition, then your loop will go into the infinite condition. Okay, now if we want to exit loop by using some condition, if we want to terminate this loop by using some condition, then we use exit statement, and after exit statement, by using when keyword, we give condition, the terminating condition. Okay, so here our terminating condition is that if v1 variable is greater than, if the value of v1 variable is greater than equal to the value of v2 variable, then we are going to terminate the loop. Means we are here printing the value of v1 variable number of times equal to the user defined value. Okay, means we are printing the series of value. Then end loop statement is there, and end of PL/SQL block. Okay, now here your v1 is initialized to 0, means and inside the loop we are incrementing the value of v1, means we are going to print the value of v1 variable starting from 1. Okay, up to the user defined value. Suppose if user has entered v2 equals to 5, it means that this loop will print 1 to 5 numbers. If user entered the value 10, then it will print 1 to 10 number. Okay, so this is a simple loop statement in PL/SQL for printing series of numbers starting from 1 to user defined value. Okay, now we'll see how this exit statement, this exit when statement, can be replaced by if statement. Okay, let's say same example. Here declare block is there, in which two variables are declared, v1 and v2, both are of number type. We are again reading value of v2 by using colon statement. Then loop statement is here. In loop statement we are incrementing the value of v1 variable by 1, and then we are printing the value. The program is same. This PL/SQL block is also used to print the series of numbers starting from 1 to user defined value. Okay, but here instead of exit when statement, we are checking condition by using if statement. Okay, see here the when keyword, this when statement is replaced by if statement. If value of v1 is greater than equal to v2, then exit. Okay, and then end of your if statement and end of loop and end of your PLSQL block. Okay, now see, these both PLSQL block are used to display the series of numbers. Okay, but here in first block we are using exit when statement to check the condition, and in second PLSQL block we are replacing that when condition by if statement. Okay, so this is loop, a simple loop statement in PLSQL, which is used to display number of which is used to display the series of statement, or which is used to execute number of statements which are written inside the loop body. Okay, the next basic type of iterative statement, which is present in almost all programming or procedural language, that is for loop. Okay, so here we directly see one example, that is display first 5 number by using for loop. Okay, it is a simple example. So in begin statement we are writing the syntax of for loop. Now here I have written for I in 1 dot 5 loop. Okay, so now the syntax of for loop is, first we write for keyword, okay, which is a starting of for loop. Then I is a index variable. Okay, means here I is used as an index variable. We are incrementing the value of I from 1 to 5. Okay, and these two dots are used to specify the range. That is, when we write 1 dot 5, means we are executing this loop within that range 1 to 5. So here I is the index variable which is initialized to 1 for the first time. 1 is the lower bound of this loop and 5 is the upper bound. Means we are running that variable, we are incrementing that index variable I from 1 to 5. Okay, see here there is no need to specify increment and decrement syntax like I plus plus or I minus minus, because when we specify that range by using dot operator, it means that we are executing that I index variable from lower bound to upper bound. Okay, and this lower bound and upper bound, these are stored temporarily in a memory when we specify that bounds in that for syntax. Okay, so these values, lower bound and upper bound values, are evaluated only once throughout the program. That is, when we specify that index variable and when we specify lower bound and upper bound in that for statement, then the value of that index variable or the values of lower bound and upper bound cannot be changed inside the body of loop. Okay, they are evaluated only once. Now inside the body of loop we have return statement dbms output dot put line I, that is we are printing the value of I within the given range, that is from 1 to 5. Then end of loop and end. So this is a simple for loop, the syntax of for loop in PLSQL for printing first 5 numbers. Okay, now let's see another for loop which is also used to print the series of number but starting from 1 to the user entered value. Okay, so here we have declared one v1 variable in declare section which is of number type. Then in begin section we are reading the value of v1 variable from user, and then here in for loop we are incrementing the value of index variable I from 1 to user entered number. Okay, so here in first program we have given a fixed upper bound, that is 5, but in current loop we are running that I variable from 1 to user entered value. It is called as a dynamic range. Okay, and then in loop we are printing the value of I. Means here we don't know the value of upper bound at the time of for loop declaration, that value is given by user. So it is called as dynamic range loop. Okay, then end of loop and end of the block. Now let's see another for loop for displaying numbers with dynamic range. Now here we are reading a lower bound from user and we are also reading upper bound from user. So two variables are declared v1 and v2 and we are reading the value of both the variables in begin section. So v1 will be our lower bound and v2 will be the upper bound. So here you can directly write for I in v1 to v2 and then loop keyword. Okay, means here we are reading both lower bound and upper bound values from user, which is a dynamic range, and we are printing the value of I from v1 to v2 inside the loop, then end of loop and end of the block. Okay, so here if you carefully look at these three blocks, then in first block we are knowing the value of lower bound and upper bound. Okay, these two are the fixed values, that is 1 to 5. It is a static range. Then in second block we are knowing the value of lower bound, that is 1, and we are reading the value of upper bound from the user, which is a dynamic upper bound value. Okay, and in third PLSQL block we are reading both the value of lower bound and upper bound from the user, which is a dynamic range. Okay, now the another example for loop is display the numbers or the series of numbers starting from 1 to entered range in reverse order. Okay, see here we are in previous 3 for loops we are displaying the value of I, that is index variable, from 1 to given range. Okay, means in ascending order. But if we want to display the value of number or the index variable in reverse order, in descending order, then this loop then we can use reverse keyword in a loop. So declare section is here in which v1 variable is declared. In begin section we are reading the value of that v1 variable. v1 is our upper bound, it is a dynamic range. And in for loop now you can see we have written syntax for I is an index variable in reverse keyword is used to display numbers in reverse order, in descending order. Okay, so here I have written for I in reverse 1 to v1 and then loop keyword. Okay, means here I will be initialized to v1, I will be initialized to upper bound. Okay, see in previous 3 loops here I is initialized to lower bound, that is 1. But when you display numbers in reverse order, when you display range in reverse order, then your I will get initialized to upper bound. And in loop, simply we are printing the value of I variable, then end of loop and end of block. Okay, so this is how we can display numbers in reverse range. Now let's say another example for loop, the code to display first 5 even numbers. Okay, so begin section here we are not using declare section. Okay, because we are not declaring any variable other than index variable. So our for loop is for I in 1 to 5. That is, we are just displaying first 5 even numbers. So we have given a fixed lower and upper bound, that is 1 to 5. Okay. So and in display statement we are displaying dbms output dot put line I into 2. That is, we are multiplying I by 2 so that we can display even numbers. Okay, and then end of loop and end. So it will display first 5 even numbers because we have given that range. And multiplication by multiplying index variable with 2 we can have even numbers. Okay, if you want to display odd numbers then you can multiply that number by 3, then it will display odd numbers. Okay, now we'll see another example to display multiplication table. Okay, for entered number. So in declare section we are declaring one variable, that is v1, which is of number type. in begin section we are reading the value of v1, that is a number for which we want to display multiplication table. And now our for loop is for I in 1 to 10. Okay, means we want to display multiplication table for 10 by using range 1 to 10. Okay, and in dbms output.putline statement we have written v1, that is our number. v1 multiplied by I means we are multiplying that number by index, and then we are displaying v1 into I. Okay, so this is how we can display multiplication table by using for loop. Okay, so see, the purpose of all control statements are same in all the programming languages, but the syntax are different. Okay, see, the purpose of for loop in C language or C++ or in Java or in PL/SQL is same, that is to display index variable or to execute the loop statement number of time equals to given range. The purpose is same, but the syntax are different in each of the languages. Okay, this is the only difference between the for loops in all the languages. Now the next type of iterative for loop, iterative control statement in PL/SQL is while loop. Okay, so in while loop condition is checked first. If the condition is true, loop statements are executed, otherwise loop statements are not executed. See, in for loop we give the fixed range, that is the range of index variable is already known. Okay, but in while loop we don't know the condition, or we don't know the range for which we want to execute the statement. So here first we check the condition, the boolean condition, and if that condition is satisfied by the index variable, then only loop statement gets executed, otherwise loop will get terminated. Okay, for example, display first 5 numbers. We have already studied this example by using for loop. Now let's see how to display first 5 numbers by using while loop. Okay, so first declare section is there, in which index variable is declared. Now the first difference between for loop and while loop is that in for loop we know the exact range for which we want to execute the statements, but in while loop when we don't know the exact condition or the exact range, then we can use while loop. This is the first difference between for and while. The another difference is that the index variable that we use in loop is declared or initialized in for loop in the declaration statement only. That is, we write for I in 1 to 5. So that is the declaration of I, and that is the initialization of I, that is index variable, in loop statement itself. But when we want to use index variable in while loop, then we need to initialize that index variable, we need to declare that index variable explicitly in declare section. Okay, then in begin section we have our while loop, that is while I is less than equal to 5, and then loop. Now here this condition will get checked as if I is less than equal to 5, then execute the statement. Okay, so this is the boolean condition. If I is less than equal to 5, then it will enter into the loop. If it is not less than equal to 5, then loop will get terminated. Okay, and then inside loop we are just printing the value of I. Then we are incrementing the value of I, that is I is equals to I plus 1, and then we'll again go to the loop statement. If I is less than equal to 5, then it will enter inside the statement, otherwise loop will get terminated by using end loop statement, and then end of the block. Okay, so in for loop when we use index variable, then we don't need to initialize that variable, or we don't need to initialize that increment that index variable explicitly. Okay, but when we use while loop, we need to declare or initialize index variable in declare section, and we need to increment the value of index variable explicitly inside the loop body. Then let's see another code for while loop, that is display the cube of first 5 numbers. Okay, so here we have declare section in which I, which is an index variable, is initialized with value 1, and then we have another variable cube which is of type number. Okay, in begin section we have our while loop, that is while I is less than equal to 5. Here the range is 1 to 5 because we want to display the cube of first 5 numbers. Then loop keyword is there, and inside of loop we are evaluating the cube of each of the numbers from 1 to 5 by using syntax cube is equals to I into 3. Now these two multiplication symbols are used to specify raise to operator. Okay, it is a exponentiation operator in PL/SQL. Okay, it means that when we write I and two multiplication symbols 3, it means that we are evaluating the power of I raised to 3. Okay, so this is raised to symbol in PL/SQL. And then by using dbms output dot put line method, we are displaying that cube. Okay, that is number I, that is number 1, and the cube of that number 2, and cube of number. Okay, then I is equals to I plus 1, we are incrementing the value of I, end of loop, and end. If you want to display the square of number, then here you can simply write cube is equals to I double multiplication 2. Okay, so this double multiplication symbol is nothing but raise to operator. Okay, if you want to display fourth power of any number, then you can simply write cube is equals to I into, or any variable is equals to I into, that is double multiplication 4. Okay, then it will give you I raised to 4 power. So this is how we can display cube by using this raise to operator. Okay, by using while loop. Now let's have a quick summary of each of the control structure in PL/SQL. In conditional statement, we have basic statement, that is if, then, else. So the syntax of if, then, else statement is, first we write if, then we check some condition, then keyword is there, and then executable statements are written inside the body. Okay, if condition is true, then it will execute the statement which are written after if statement. If condition is false, then it will enter into the else section, and the loop statement which are written inside the else statement will get executed, and end of if. Okay, so this is simple if then else loop. Then we have if then else if loop. When we want to check more than one condition inside the if statement, then we can go for if then else if. Okay, so here in if statement we write condition 1, that is we check first condition. If that condition is true, then the corresponding statements which are written inside first if will get executed. If the condition is false, if condition 1 is false, then loop will go to the else if condition, else if condition 2. Loop will check for the second condition. If that condition is true, then the corresponding statements will get executed. If that condition is also false, then loop will enter into the else statement, and then the statements which are written inside the else section will get executed, and then end of if. That is, if we want to check more than one condition by using if then statement, then we can use if then else if. Okay, see, if you want to, here we are checking two conditions, condition 1 by using if, and condition 2 by using else if. Okay, if you want to check three conditions, then you can use two else if, that is if condition 1, then if else if condition 2, else if condition 3, and then else. Okay, so this is how we can check more than one condition by using if then else if statement. Then we have case statement, which is also conditional statement. The syntax of case statement is, first we write case keyword, then we write expression, that is the variable or the any expression that we want to check. Then we write when keyword, and in when keyword we write the condition. If in case, after case, we write one variable or one condition or one expression, and we check that expression, we check the value of that variable against each of the conditions written inside the case statement. Okay, and then by using else keyword or by using else statement, we can specify a default value. Okay, if your value of variable, if the value of expression is not matching with each of the when condition, then the control will automatically transfer to else block and the default statement will get executed. Okay, then end case statement is used to end the case statement. And so this is these are conditional control statements in PL/SQL. Okay, syntax of conditional control statements. Now let's have a summary of iterative control statement. So first control statement, iterative control statement is loop. We have already studied all these iterative control statements in this particular section only, or this particular session only. So loop statement is used to execute statements written inside the body number of times equals to exit condition. Okay, exit statement is used to specify the exit condition, and if we don't specify exit statement in loop statement, then loop will go into the infinite condition, infinite loop. Then we have for loop. The syntax of for loop is for counter or the index variable that we have already used, that is I. Then in keyword is written, which is used to compare the index variable with the given bounds. Then initial value, which is a lower bound. Final value, which is a upper bound. Then loop keyword is used, and inside that loop keyword executable statements are written. Okay. So for loop is used to execute loop number of times equal to given range. Then we have while loop. In while loop, first we write while keyword, then we give condition that we want to check, and if condition is true, then loop will enter into the inside the body. Otherwise, loop will get terminated. Okay. So this is a summary of iterative control statements in PL/SQL. Now we'll see what is subprograms in PL/SQL. Any named block in PL/SQL that can be called by passing some parameters from other blocks is called subprogram. Okay. So subprogram is what? Whenever we write any PL/SQL block which is a named block. Okay. See, in PL/SQL we have two types of block: named block and anonymous block. Anonymous blocks are those blocks they are not having any name. Okay. And named block are the blocks which are stored inside the database by by using some name. So these are called as named block. So named block in PL/SQL are called as subprogram, and they can be called by any other block. They can be called from any other block by passing some parameter. So these type of blocks are called as subprograms. Okay. So in PL/SQL, subprograms are nothing but procedures or functions. Okay. See, in high level language, we have already studied about different types of functions. User defined functions are there, built-in functions are there. In PL/SQL also we have some built-in functions, some built-in procedures, or some user defined procedures. So procedures and functions are nothing but the subprograms in PL/SQL. So in PL/SQL, commonly used code can be written and stored once by using such subprograms and can be invoked whenever required. That is, these functions and procedures are mainly used to write commonly used code. That is, the codes that are frequently used by number of blocks. So we can write these type of code once, and we can store this type of code as a database object only once, and then we can invoke or we can call that commonly used or frequently used code whenever we require that code in any of the PL/SQL blocks. Okay, so that's why subprograms are used, procedures and functions are used. So the feature of procedure or function is It provides modular and reusable coding technique. That is, instead of writing a larger block, instead of writing a block which consists of number of statements, we can have a modular programming technique, or we can split that block, we can split that code as per functionality by using procedure or function, so that we can have a modular code, and also that code will be reusable. Okay, so to implement modular and reusable technique, subprograms are used. Now, procedure is mainly used to perform specific tasks that makes changes in a database. So the purpose of procedure is to perform certain tasks, and by as a result of that task, database state will get changed. Okay, if we want to make changes in database, then we can go for procedure. We can assign some task to procedure. Okay, and this procedure may return one or more values, or even they may not return any value to the calling block. See, procedure is a subprogram which is stored as a database object in a memory. We can call that procedure to perform certain task. As a result, your database state will get changed. Okay, so procedure is mainly used to perform specific task. Okay, so procedures sometimes return one or more value, or sometimes they don't even return any value. Okay, whereas function is mainly used to compute some value, and function always returns single value to the calling block by using return statement. See, the difference between procedure and function is this, that is, procedure is used to perform some task to change the state of database, whereas function is mainly used to compute some value. Functions are mainly used for computations, and function always returns single value to the calling block by using return statement. So this is the main difference between procedure and function. Okay, and function never change the state of database. Function mainly used for computation purpose only, and procedure is used to change the state of database by performing certain tasks. Okay, so this is the difference between procedure and function. Now, when a subprogram is written at a schema level, or when a function or procedure is written outside of package or outside of any block, then it is called as standalone or stored subprogram. See, in PL/SQL we have different types of subprogram. We have different types of functions or procedures. When we write any function, or when we write any procedure inside a block, or outside of block, or outside of any package, then it is called as standalone or stored subprogram. Okay, when we write any function or procedure inside a package, then it is called as packaged subprogram. And when we write any function or procedure inside a PL/SQL block, then it is called as nested subprogram. So in PL/SQL, basically we have three types of subprogram: standalone subprogram, packaged subprogram, and nested subprogram. Okay, when we write any standalone procedure which is not a part of any package, or which is not a part of any PL/SQL block, then it is called as standalone subprogram. When we write any procedure or function in package, then it is called as packaged subprogram. And when we write any function or procedure in any PL/SQL block as a part of any PL/SQL block, then it is called as nested subprogram. Okay, so these are the types of subprogram in PL/SQL. Then subprograms or procedures or functions can be called by using some parameters. So in PL/SQL we have three types of parameters, or in Oracle we have three types of parameter. First type of parameter is in parameter. So these parameters are received by subprogram as an input from calling block. See, whenever we call any procedure from any PL/SQL block, then we can call that procedure either by using simple name, or we can call that procedure by passing some parameter, by passing some values. So whenever we pass some value to the subprogram, whenever we pass some value to the procedure or function, and those values are received by that procedure and function by using as a input value, so these type of parameters are called as in parameter. In parameters are nothing but the values received by procedure or function as a input from calling block. So these in parameters are read-only parameters. We cannot manipulate the value of in parameter inside the procedure or function. We cannot change the value of in parameter inside the procedure or function because these values are given by calling block. Okay, and in is the default type of parameter, means while declaring function or procedure, while writing function or procedure, if we don't specify the type of parameter, then by default the type of parameter is in. Okay, then we have out type of parameter. Okay, so these are the parameters which are used by function or procedure to return value. Okay, means the out parameters are the type of parameter whose values are returned by procedure or function as a output. Okay, and these values can be changed within subprogram. So whatever parameters are declared as a out parameter, those values are manipulated within subprogram, within function or procedure. Then we have third type of parameter, that is in and out. In out. Okay, so these type of parameters can be used as a both. They can be used as an input parameter and they can be used as an output parameter. Okay, and the values of in out type of parameters can be changed within subprogram. Okay, so these are the types of parameters in Oracle. Now one by one we'll see how to write procedure and how to write function. So first we'll see how to write procedure. So syntax of writing procedure is, we have to write keyword create or replace. Create or replace procedure. Okay, these are the keywords. Then we write procedure name. Then in bracket we write parameters name and the type of parameter, that is in, out or in out, and then we specify the data type. Okay, so this is a simple syntax. Then we write keyword is or as. So this is the syntax for procedure. Okay, so and after this syntax, after this declaration statement, we can write a block of procedure, that is declare, begin, exception section and end. See, the block of procedure or function is same. The structure of procedure and function is same as that of simple PL/SQL block. That is, simple PL/SQL block consists of declare, begin and exception section. Procedure and function also consist of declare, begin and exception section. The only difference is that there is no need to declare PL/SQL block by using some syntax. Here, to declare procedure and function, we have some predefined syntax. Okay, here create keyword is used to create new procedure and replace keyword is used to replace existing procedure with the current procedure. See, if you have written some procedure name which is already there in a database, then this replace keyword is used to replace that already defined procedure with the current procedure. Okay, and if procedure is not there, the procedure with the given name is not there in a memory, then it will create a new procedure by using create statement. Okay, then each keyword is used when creating a nested procedure. If our procedure is a nested procedure, if we are writing procedure within PL/SQL block, then we use each keyword. And if we are creating a standalone procedure, if our procedure is not a part of any PL/SQL block, if our procedure is not a part of any package, then we use as keyword. Okay, so this is the syntax of creating procedure in PL/SQL. Now let's see some example for procedure. First, to print a message through procedure. This is a simple example. See, we are creating one procedure to print message. So we have written initialization or declaration statement like this. Create or replace procedure. Print message. Print message is the name of procedure. And in bracket we are writing parameter name, in, out or in out type and then data type. Okay, so here I have written parameter message. Message is my parameter name. Then I have written in, that is message is of in type. and varchar 2. Varchar 2 is the data type of that parameter, which is a input parameter. And is, I have written is because this procedure is not a part of any package or PLSQL block. It is a standalone procedure. Okay. Instead of is, you can write as also. Then begin statement is there. In begin statement, we have begin section. We have just printing that message, the BMS output dot put line message. Okay, so this is a simple procedure. Now let's see how to call this procedure from any block. Okay, so here we are writing some block. So block is declared by using declare section. We are declaring one variable a, which is of character type, and the size of that variable is 20. Okay, in begin section we are reading the value of a, that is we are reading some message from user, and then in begin section of that block we are calling that procedure by using name. Print message is the name of procedure, and we are passing one variable, we are passing one parameter to that procedure. So when you write print message, the procedure name in bracket a is a variable which is whose value is read by user. We are passing that value to the procedure. So when we write print message a, control will get transferred to that particular procedure, that is print message with the parameter a. Now here a is a parameter which is given by calling block to the procedure as a input. Okay, and then procedure will print that message which is given by the calling block. Okay, so see, this is a simple procedure to print message. Okay, now if we want to call any procedure from the block, then we can use procedure name and parameter. If we don't want to call that procedure from the block, if we want to execute that procedure as a standalone procedure, then we can either use execute keyword or exec keyword, and after execute or exec keyword you can simply write your procedure name and in bracket write down the message that you want to print, or write down the parameter that you want to evaluate in a procedure. Okay, so here I have simply written execute print message, in bracket I have written message welcome home. Then it will execute that print message procedure with the given message. Okay, so this is how we can execute procedure. Then let's see another example, procedure to find minimum number between two numbers. Okay, so here I have written procedure like create or replace procedure find min. Find min is the name of my procedure because I want to find a minimum number. So find min name is given, and this procedure receives two parameter x and y. Okay, see, two parameters are input type of parameter. X in number, that is x is a input parameter which is of number type, y is a input parameter which is of number type, and z is a output parameter which is also of number type. Means here we are receiving two input parameter from the calling block, that is we need to pass two parameters as an input, and this procedure will return a value of one parameter which is a output parameter. Okay, see, in procedure when you want to receive some parameter, then we specify those parameter by using in keyword, and when we want to return some value, we return some parameter, then we specify that parameter by using out keyword. Okay, out. Here z is a out parameter, means z is a variable which is used to return value as keyword. Okay, it is a standalone procedure. Now in begin section we are writing the logic of finding minimum number. If x is less than y, then z is equals to x. Okay, simple, means we are assigning minimum parameter to the z, which is a output parameter, else z is equals to y. End if and end. Okay, this is a simple procedure to find out minimum number. Now let's see calling block. In calling block we have declared three variables a, b and c. All three variables are number type of variables. In begin block we are reading the value of a and b. Okay, from user, and then we are calling this procedure find mean. This find mean is the name of procedure. We can simply call procedure by using procedure name, and this procedure receives three parameters a, b and c. See, out of these three parameters a, b and c, a and b are the input parameter x and y, okay, which is specified in procedure, and c is a output parameter z, okay. Means this procedure will take the value of a and b as x and y, and procedure will return the value of c as z, okay. And then DBMS output line method is written in declare in begin section of calling block. Minimum number is c, okay. End of block. Whenever first we execute this particular block, whenever the name of procedure will encounter inside the block, that is find mean a, b, c, then control will get transferred to find mean procedure. The a is given as a x input, b is given as a y input, and c is treated as a z output parameter, okay. So here in procedure, whenever we want to pass value to the calling blocks, whenever we want to return some value to the calling block, then there is no need to use return keyword. We just specify z out number, okay. It means that we are passing the value of z to the calling block, okay. So this is how we can pass value to the calling block, and we can pass parameter to the procedure from the calling block, okay. Then let's see another procedure to check whether entered number is even or odd, okay. So I have written procedure create or replace procedure. Even odd is my procedure name. Now this procedure is receiving one input x in number. X is the input type of variable. This procedure is passing some message, okay, whether number is even or odd, we are passing some message. So y is a out parameter passing message, returning message, and which is of varchar type, okay, because we are passing message. We are receiving one number and we are passing whether that number is even or odd. Then as keyword. In begin section, we are checking whether number is even or odd. If mod x2 is equals to 0, then y is equals to even number. Okay. See, here in procedure, we are not printing message. We are passing that message to calling block. So, instead of using DBMS output line, we are passing even number message to y, and we are passing that y as a output parameter to calling block. Else y is equals to odd number. End of if and end of procedure, okay. See, here now we have our calling block. In calling block we have declared two variables, a is of number type, b is of varchar2 type, okay. And then in begin block we are reading the number, okay. See, we want to check whether the entered number is even or odd, but we are passing that number to the procedure, and we are calling that procedure even odd by using two parameters. Here even odd is the name of procedure. We are calling that procedure from the block. A is the input parameter x, okay, and b is the output parameter y. DBMS output dot put line, entered number is b, okay. See, when we call even odd a b, then a is passed to x as an input parameter and b is referring y as a output parameter, okay. When we say y out varchar2, it means that y is passing value of the message, y is passing that message to b, okay. See, in procedure, we need to pass input parameter while calling that procedure, and we need to pass output parameter also, okay. So this is procedure to check whether entered number is even or odd. Now function. So the difference between procedure and function is that procedure is used to perform certain tasks and it is used to change the state of database, whereas function is used to compute some value, okay. Now the syntax of function is create or replace function, function name, okay. In procedure we write create or replace procedure, procedure name. In function we write create or replace function, function name, in bracket parameter, in, out, in, out. It is same as that of procedure. Then we write data type. But here we use return keyword, return data type. That is the value that we want to return is as, then the parameter that we want to return and the type of parameter. Let's see one example which will clear all your concept. Okay. Then we have declare, that is a body of function which consists of again 3 blocks: declare, begin and exception. Okay, here return keyword specifies the parameter to be returned to the calling block. In procedure, if we want to return any value, then we use out keyword. In function, if we want to return some value, then we use return keyword. Okay, so let's have some example. Function to find maximum number between two numbers. So my function is create or replace function find max. Find max is the name of my function, which receives one x parameter as an input. It receives one y parameter as an input. Okay, so two parameters are received by the function as an input by using in keyword. And this function is returning number type of value. Okay, that is the maximum number. So I have written return number. Function is returning number as z number. Okay, so function is returning number type of data as z. In procedure, we have written x in number, y in number, z out number. Okay, we have written out keyword. But here in function, the same syntax is replaced by, instead of out, we are writing return number as z number. Okay, this is the only difference. Remaining is the same. In begin, we are checking which is the greater number. If x is greater than y, then z is equals to x. Else z is equals to y. End if. Then return z. See, here we are writing return keyword. In procedure, there is no need to write return keyword. We are just writing out keyword. Okay. But in function, we need to write return keyword. Return z. That is, we are returning the value of z to the calling block. And now let's see how to call function. In calling block, we have three variables declared: a, b, c. All are of number type. Then we are reading the value of a and b by using colon operator from user. Now we are calling function. See, what is the difference between calling procedure and calling function? In function calling, we are writing c is equals to find max a, b. Okay, whereas calling procedure, at the time of calling procedure, we have written find mean a, b, c. Means at the time of calling procedure, we are passing input parameter and we are also passing output parameter. But at the time of calling function, we pass only input parameter. We don't pass output parameter. Okay, so here we are receiving the value of output parameter in calling block. Okay, so I have written c is equals to find max a, b. So a is passed as x, b is passed as y, and c is received as z. When we write return z, it will be received as c in calling block, and then in calling block we print the value of c. Okay, so this is the difference between calling procedure and calling function. At the time of calling procedure, we need to pass input values as well as output parameter also. But while calling function, we only pass input parameter and we receive the value of output parameter by using return keyword. Okay. Now let's see same program of checking whether number is even or odd by using function. We have already studied this program by using procedure. Now let's see how to execute same program by using function. Okay, so here I have written create or replace function, no check, number check. This is my function name. It receives one parameter x in number. It is returning one message which is of character type, and it is returning that message as y parameter. Okay. In procedure, we have written same syntax as create or replace procedure, even odd, x in number, y out varchar 2. Okay, same syntax here, rewritten as create or replace function, number check, x in number input parameter, and it is returning character type of message as y. Okay, this is the difference. And the remaining body is same, that is begin if mod x2 equals to 0, then it is even, y is equals to even, otherwise y is equals to odd, and we are returning the value of y. Okay, simple. Now let's see calling block. In calling block we have declared two variables, same as that of the calling block that we have used in procedure, a number, b varchar 2. Begin a is equals to a, we are reading the number from user. Now we are calling function b is equals to number check a. See, we are only passing input parameter. A is passed to the function as x, and b will be received from the function as y. When you say return y, it will be given to b. Okay, so db means output dot put line, and then print that message which is given by function. So this is how function can be written. Okay, now quickly let's see statements to create procedure and function. We'll see what is the difference between statements while creating procedure and while creating function. So see, creating procedure is create or replace procedure, find mean, x in number, y in number, z out number. Okay, then we write is or as keyword. If procedure is nested, then we write is. If procedure is standalone, then we write as. Okay, now here it means that we are writing find mean procedure, which is taking x and y, which is receiving x and y as an input parameter, and it is returning z as an output parameter. Okay, now let's see how same statement can be used for function. So create or replace function find max. Okay, now here also we are having three parameters, two are input, one is output, but it is written as x in input, x in number, y in number. Then we write return statement, that is this function is returning number value as z. Here in procedure we have written z out number, that is z is the output parameter. Here in function also z is the output parameter, but it is written as return number z number. Okay, this is the difference. Now let's see how to delete procedure and function. If we want to delete procedure, then we use drop procedure find mean, that is drop procedure name. If you want to delete function, then just replace that procedure keyword by function keyword, that is drop function find max. Okay, then it will delete function from the memory by using drop function find max. Okay, so this is all about procedures and functions in PL/SQL. Okay, so in today's section we have studied iterative control statement in PL/SQL, loop statement, for statement, while statement, the difference between for and while statement. Then we have studied about sub-programs, that is procedures and functions, how to create procedure, how to create function. Okay, then three types of parameters, that is in parameter, which is used to receive input by the procedure or function, out parameter, which is used to pass values to the calling block. Okay, but out parameter is mainly used by procedure. Out parameter is not used in function. Okay, instead of that in function we use return keyword. Okay, then we have seen different examples of procedures and functions and how to call functions and procedures from calling block. While calling procedure from any block, we need to write procedure name and then all types of parameters, that is input parameter and output parameter. While calling function from the block, we write one output variable, that is suppose c is equal to, then we write function name, suppose find max, and then in bracket we write only input parameter a, b. Okay, so this is how procedures and functions can be used with the PL/SQL programs. Now in next practical sessions we'll see how to use procedures and functions to interact with the database system. See, in today's session we have only seen how to write, how to execute procedures and functions, how to call procedures and functions from the blocks. Okay, but the purpose of procedures and functions is to interact with the database system. Okay, so in next practical sessions we'll see how to use functions